So as you all know, last week President Trump issued an executive order which bans Syrian refugees from entering the country. It also bars citizens from 7 Muslim-majority countries from entering the United States. And these countries are Syria, Sudan, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Yemen, and Iraq. Now, we're bombing most of these countries currently, so it's a little bit ironic that they're the ones that are seen as a threat when we're not. Now, what's fascinating about this story, you all know about it by now, is that it backfired tremendously in Trump's face. And after it backfired, however, the way that Trump responded to it is very troublesome. Now, what he's trying to do is basically rewrite history before our very eyes. Now, I'll tell you how he's doing that, but first I want to talk about how it backfired. So as you all know by now, last weekend, when this executive order was issued, it led to nationwide protests at airports across the country as citizens from these countries were detained. And this includes protests in New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Washington State, including Seattle, Dallas, New Jersey, Chicago, San Francisco. Now, thankfully, all of this chaos that ensued as a result of Donald Trump's executive order came to a halt once the federal courts issued this message to Donald Trump.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
So thankfully, U.S. District Court Judge Ann Donnelly sided with the ACLU's habeas corpus suit that they brought forward immediately after Donald Trump signed this executive order. And Donnelly states there is imminent danger that absent the stay of removal, there will be substantial and irreparable injury to refugees, visa holders, and other individuals from nations subject. So after getting shot down by the American judicial system, after facing nationwide resistance from protesters, Donald Trump is trying to tell us to not believe our lying eyes.
It's not a Muslim ban, but we were totally prepared. It's working out very nicely. You see it at the airports, you see it all over. It's working out very nicely, and we're going to have a very, very strict ban, and we're going to have extreme vetting, which we should have had in this country for many years.
Oh my God, stop fucking lying.
There's so many lies in that short 17-second clip that I don't even know where to begin. So first, he says that it's not a Muslim ban. Okay, so if religion isn't a factor, then why are you prioritizing Christian refugees over Muslim ones? I'm just curious. Now, also, nobody believes that this isn't a Muslim ban because your friend, Rudy Giuliani, already spilled the beans.
When he first announced it, he said Muslim ban. He called me up, he said, put a commission together, show me the right way to do it legally.
Oops. But I don't want you to be mad at Rudy Giuliani, Trump, because if I'm remembering correctly, you actually ran on a Muslim ban, and it was included in your first campaign ad.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
The politicians can pretend it's something else, but Donald Trump calls it radical Islamic terrorism. That's why he's calling for a temporary shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until we can figure out what's going on.
Now, just so we're clear here, that was a direct quote from Donald Trump.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
But it's not a Muslim ban, you guys. Even though I campaigned on doing a Muslim ban and said it repeatedly, this isn't a Muslim ban. And also, war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength, according to Donald Trump. Now, second of all, Donald Trump also contends that the Muslim ban is going very nicely. Now, just instinctively, I'm inclined to disagree, seeing that your executive order sparked nationwide protests. You had to fire the acting Attorney General, Sally Yates, because she refused to comply with this unconstitutional order, which, by the way, is a strategy right out of the playbook of many authoritarian dictators. And also, just to really illustrate how nicely this Muslim ban went for Trump, this is what happened.
Dozens of passengers were detained once they hit U.S. soil this weekend at various airports, including this Iranian mother's 5-year-old son that you see on the left-hand side. She anxiously awaiting his arrival at Washington's Dulles International Airport Saturday night, only to learn that he was one of the travelers detained. And there you see the reunion after hours spent without answers.
Quote, "It's working out very nicely." Oh yeah? Well, here's another example as to how nicely Donald Trump's Muslim ban worked out.
It was a strong shock, he says. We received visas after waiting 3 years. Then this order comes. The Iraqi branch of Al-Qaeda planted a bomb in his car in 2009. It blew both his legs off and mangled his left hand. They targeted him because he provided the U.S. Marines and Iraqi police with intelligence on the terrorists in his hometown of Fallujah.
So I'm sorry, Donald Trump, it's not working out nicely. Nobody believes that. We are not going to deny our own eyes. We can actually see what's going on. So it didn't work out nicely. Now, third, he claims that we don't have an extreme vetting process and that we should have had one in place years ago. Again, this is another lie. The United States has been extremely vetting Syrian refugees since we started to admit them into the country. USA Today explains Syrian refugees wait an average of 18 months to 24 months before being admitted to the United States. The 21-step screening process goes through multiple agencies, including the United States High Commissioner for Refugees, the U.S. State Department, the FBI, and the United States Department of Homeland Security. Applicants undergo 2 and sometimes 3 interagency security checks to make sure nothing disqualifies them for admission to America. Refugee applicants also undergo a comprehensive medical examination to ensure that they don't have a contagious disease. Refugees continue to be screened after they arrive in the U.S. Within a year, they can apply for a green card. 5 years later, they can apply to become naturalized U.S. citizens. The federal government conducts background screening procedures at both steps. In fact, the government has a special program called the Controlled Application Review and Resolution Program that can delay refugees and other applicants for years based on alleged national security concerns. Several immigrants have had to sue the U.S. Immigration Agency to get their cases out of this black hole. So the fact that you continue to claim that we do not do extreme vetting is false. We have one of the most strict vetting programs in the world, hence why the refugees that we've admitted to the country, they've proven to not be a threat. They're hardworking Americans that just wanted to flee from the chaos that was ensuing in their own country. Now, of course, Donald Trump's supporters, they believe everything that he says. They don't care about reality. As long as Donald Trump says it, they're willing to accept it. And they're pushing back with some not dank memes, and they're contending that liberals are hypocrites because when President Obama did an Iraqi refugee ban in 2011, well, we were silent. But now that President Trump is doing a refugee ban, all of a sudden, we're outraged. But that's not entirely true. Now, I've never been shy about my opposition towards liberal hypocrisy, but Trump doesn't just receive a get-out-of-jail-free card for doing shitty things that Obama also did, but most importantly, the main problem with this line of thinking is that it's factually untrue. Now, the prominence of these claims in part are due to President Trump alleging that President Obama did in fact do an Iraqi refugee ban. That's not true. Trump says, my policy is similar to what President Obama did in 2011 when he banned visas for refugees from Iraq for 6 months. The 7 countries named in the executive order are the same countries previously identified by the Obama administration as sources of terror. Now, this is wrong for 2 reasons. One, President Obama imposed new security checks on Iraqi refugees, and even though it did significantly slow down the admission of them for 6 months, well, it never stopped. And note that this didn't apply to Iraqi citizens, just refugees. However, Trump just outright tried to ban refugees and citizens. Now, he also claims that he decided to ban citizens from entering these 7 countries because President Obama previously declared that they were sources of terror. But Vox clarifies, stating, Trump is referring to an amendment to the State Department's visa waiver program, a long-standing initiative that allows people from certain countries to enter the United States without obtaining a visa first. After the San Bernardino terrorist attacks in December of 2015, the Obama administration and Congress collaborated to change the way the program affected people from 7 countries: Iraq, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. People with passports from these countries hadn't actually been covered in the visa waiver program. The law overwhelmingly privileges Europeans, but someone who was a dual national with citizenship from a covered country, say a French Syrian, could theoretically use her French passport to enter the U.S. with virtually no security. The new rules removed visa waiver privileges for dual nationals, as well as people from a visa waiver country who had recently visited one of the 7 nations, like a Brit who had recently traveled to Iraq. So I'm sorry, but President Trump doesn't get to use the Obama did it so I get to do it too card. He doesn't. And furthermore, it doesn't matter if Obama did it too. The fact of the matter is that this is not only just unconstitutional, it's illegal too. The New York Times explains the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 banned all discrimination against immigrants on the basis of national origin, replacing the old prejudice system and giving each country an equal shot at the quotas. In signing the new law, President Lyndon B. Johnson said that the harsh injustice of the national origins quota system had been abolished. Nonetheless, Mr. Trump asserts that he still has the power to discriminate, pointing to a 1952 law that allows the president the ability to suspend the entry of any class of aliens that he finds are detrimental to the interest of the United States. But the president ignores the fact that Congress then restricted this power in 1965, stating plainly that no person could be discriminated against in the issuance of an immigrant visa because of the person's race, sex, nationality, place of birth, or place of residence. The only exceptions are those provided for by Congress, such as the preference for Cuban asylum seekers. So let's be very clear here. Donald Trump's Muslim ban, and let's call it what it is, it's a Muslim ban, is illegal and it's unconstitutional. Yet despite this obvious fact, he still wants to do it. Someone who claimed to be the law and order candidate wants to break the law, brazenly so. And don't take my word for it, this is what he said.
We have to bring back law and order.
Great, let's start with you, Trump. You can start by reinstating Attorney General Sally Yates, since you fired her specifically because she refused to comply with your executive order, which broke the law. And second, you can resign because you are now violating the law, specifically the emoluments clause of the Constitution, since you're only choosing to enforce the Muslim ban against countries that have launched 0 fatal attacks on us in the last 40 years. The countries that you didn't ban that did attack us, well, you don't want to ban them from entering because you don't want that to impede on the business interests that you have with countries like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, and of course, that lovely golf course that you're building in Dubai. So the bottom line is that if President Trump believes what he said, which was this,
we have to bring back law and order,
then he needs to take this piece of advice.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.